get done for E3, because we need to like build that excitement up and go, God damn, we have a lot of work to do between now and E3.
I think it's really important to be ambitious. I think it's important to have more balls in the air that you can catch at the end when it all comes down to it and you have to ship a game. But certainly you can go too far.
Following the massive success of Halo Combat Evolved, talks already began within Bungie, the developers of said game, to work on a new sequel to their smash hit within 6 weeks after Halo CE launched. The company co-founder of Bungie, Jason Jones, who co-founded the company back in 1991 with his friend he met while in college, Eric Seropian, Jason was never much of a fan of making sequels, especially considering the company's last sequel, Myth 2, had to be entirely recalled due to its uninstaller for the game, uninstalling more than just the game, but wiping the entire hard drive of the poor soul who decided they didn't want to play Myth 2 anymore. However, despite all of this, Jason felt a sense of debt to his development team to make a sequel, as he was the one who helped convince Bungie's developers to move with him out to Seattle following their purchase by Microsoft. Going into Halo 2, Bungie's developers felt much more confident about making a game compared to their last. With a finished game for them to now just build upon, much of the team began working on new features and ideas for their ambitious sequel. Some of these ideas include a brand new lighting and bump map rendering system that would make the game look more detailed and beautiful with what they called the stencil system. This lighting system was very demanding as a whole, but Bungie engineers felt confident that they would be able to work it out. Early on, Bungie considered aiming for a holiday 2003 launch, around 2 years after the release of Halo CE.
So it's been like 2 years since we sold out to the man.
Woo-hoo!
And it's been a pretty fun 2 years. There's a lot of people here who don't know a lot of the traditions of Bungie, or have only maybe seen one pentathlon. I think the coolest thing about Bungie, though, one of our best traditions, I've said this before, people recognize it, is that everybody here really cares about what they're doing, and it's important to them. They do it well, and that's what makes them happy. That's why they love what they do.
Who's playing the piano? Wow!
And the music.
Yay!
This thing is better choreographed than I thought.
I don't know. It's what makes me want to keep working here, and what makes me enjoy like what I do is to be with people like that, and to know that when we're doing something hard, everybody who's working on it cares about what we're doing, and cares about making it the best that they can possibly make it. We spent the last year working on Halo 2 and putting it in the best possible position to go into this next year of production. And anybody that knows, anybody that was on Halo 1 or knows how that project worked, even though it turned out really good, it was really a challenge, and there was a lot of hard work, a lot of last-minute decisions, a lot of agonizing over whether the hardware was going to work or whether we were going to be able to put in everything we wanted to put in. We're in such a better position on Halo 2 with more people and a better plan and more time ahead of us. And so far we've put ourselves in a really good position to take advantage of that. And frankly, the cameras are making me very nervous.
This is all going down for posterity.
For the red lights, it would be a lot better.
All right, I'll move around.
Microsoft was also very interested in this time period, as they wanted Bungie to get their game out of the door before the release of the Xbox 360 in 2005. With Bungie being extremely ambitious about their new game, and Microsoft wanting the game to come out before the launch of the 360, surely this couldn't be a recipe for disaster, right?
Dumb bitch.
From a fan's perspective, Halo 2 looked fantastic. It looked amazing.
Oh my god, is that the big rifle? Oh whoa, it's the big dude himself. The graphics look crazy. The art style. Let's see what Joseph Staten has to say about this.
We had a vision in our mind about what Halo 2 would look like, and that vision is really easy to see in the Halo 2 announcement trailer. Stencil shadows on everything, real-time reflections in the Master Chief's visor, this very crisp, well-wrought image. And we thought, well, that's what we're going to show for E3. And when we got to the actual implementation of some of the choices we had made, we realized that it's impossible. And we went around and around on that and other questions for perhaps too long.
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
To put it lightly, the entire E3 showcase was nothing but smoke and mirrors, using hacks and heavily scripted events just to even function properly. Not even weeks prior to the E3 showcase, the demo was still running in the single digits of frames per second. The new rendering stencil engine Halo 2 was using was just too much for the Xbox to handle properly. Bungie had really only one option at this point after E3. Completely redesign the game 1 year into development. Immediately tons of content was cut from across the board. 32-player multiplayer, gone. Several campaign levels, gone. Mongoose, Goose, gone. Most of the summer of 2003 was spent by Jason, Joseph, and a few others bunkered down in a conference room rewriting the entire story. Many pretty cool levels such as Forerunner Tank was cut, where you drive around in a huge Forerunner tank and it'd be super awesome and cool, and it's pretty fucking cool. Bungie was in complete turmoil for the remainder of this year, which was definitely not helped by the fact that in October of 2003, the CEO of Microsoft himself, at the time, Steve Ballmer, randomly said that Bungie was Halo 3's coming, baby. Also during this time, two absolute legends show up, Steve Vai and John Mayer, and they play some fucking bangers on the soundtrack. In November of 2003, Ed Fries, Xbox head of first-party games, left Microsoft after getting tired of arguing and fighting with his bosses over what was best for the studios that was under him. Ed was a crucial part of Microsoft's purchase of Bungie back in 2000, and was also helping Bungie receive some sort of a break from the scrutiny of Microsoft execs at the time, as they too were extremely frustrated with the development of Halo 2. Also around this time, Bungie began heavily investing into their new integrated online system for Halo 2, dubbing it the Virtual Couch. This new system introduced new concepts such as parties, multiplayer playlists, and a pretty early form of skill-based matchmaking, all of which were very unheard of, especially in the console space at the time. However, Bungie had a pretty hard time getting the Xbox Live team at the time to even really fully grasp or understand what these new features were and how they would even work. So, around late 2003, going into 2004, Bungie made a small prototype video to help the Xbox Live team better understand what their vision was.
Hey, I just got an invite from Joe. Let's hop over. You know, Dave I get plenty of Joe's abuse when I'm at work. Accepting. Oh! Alright, this is the last game. I gotta get home, give Silas a bath, get him to bed. Susan's gonna kill me. Oh, hey guys! Joe! Joe. Glad you clowns could join us. Hey Dave, Marty, this is Paul. Alright, listen up. The guys from Blizzard just moved in downstairs. They threw down the gauntlet. We all set to give them a little ass-whooping, soccer, blood gulch, anytime.
Hey, dudes! You have room for one more grunty grunt?
Jeez, guys, who's the guy with the grunt filter?
I'm gonna own your nipple, dudes!
Let's boot him.
Hey, no, wait!
Hey, Stefan just joined us. Stefan! Alright, that's 8. Let's do it!
The idea of not being able to choose what map and match to play, but choosing a general curated playlist of maps and modes was something many hadn't seen at the time. Microsoft's user research team found that many people who were asked about this new system pretty much overwhelmingly said that they were not a fan of this new playlist system. The reason why Bungie still held on to their playlist system even after hearing this is because they believed that if the game sold as much as they thought it would, and had as many players online as they thought there would be, the server browser would just be a complete mess, being filled up so quickly the browser would be constantly out of date. Around January of 2004, an up-and-coming guy named Frank O'Connor joined the company from the Xbox magazine and tried working hard to make weekly, or at least frequent, updates about the development of Halo 2 to the public, and provide screenshots in the magazine. However, the issue with taking these screenshots is that the tools used by Bungie at the time were in such a bad and archaic state that whenever a screenshot was taken, the entire game would crash for not just yourself, but everyone else in the lobby. While development on the campaign was in complete shambles, work on the multiplayer side of things was going along quite nicely. In January, Bungie held a private alpha test to 1,000 Microsoft employees to test the multiplayer network. Each of these employees got a disc in the mail and was given 5 weeks to be able to play and test the game. In this build, there were only 3 maps available: Waterworks, Burial Mounds, and Lockout. Vengeful Vadim actually has an incredibly detailed video about this build and all the weird quirks and differences this build has compared to the final release. If you can, I would genuinely recommend checking this out. It's actually a really good watch. In February of 2004, Bungie began voice recordings with many of their main actors. However, a lot of their voice actors at this time were living in completely different areas, which made recording even harder for Marty O'Donnell, Joe Staten, and Mr. Wineland. Through the success of the first game, Bungie was able to enlist some huge names from Hollywood to be special voices within Halo 2. These names include Ron Perlman as Admiral Lord Hood, Keith David as the Arbiter, which was known as the Dervish at the time, and Mikel Rodriguez, Laura Prepon, and David Cross as Marines. Shortly after recording all these voice lines, Bungie immediately started implementing it into the game. Once more, E3 was rapidly approaching once again, and Bungie genuinely wanted to showcase Halo 2 during it. However, the campaign was still in too poor of a state at the time to actually show off, and the producers at Bungie did not feel it was appropriate to prepare the campaign for a showcase when they could spend that time finishing it for release. So, about 6 weeks prior to the E3 showcase, Max Hoberman, the guy in charge of the multiplayer, was approached and asked to put anything they had together for it. So with the help of the level designer Chris Carney, they very quickly cooked up a new map that would best show off some of the new modes that they had been working on and designing at the time, which were very one-sided. This map is known as Zanzibar, with the paper design of the map being finished within about a day, and the map following shortly after. This map to this day is still absolutely amazing, even being remade in Halo 3, featuring a giant rotating blade and wall that separates the attacking side and the defending side, along with other sick features with it.
The year is 2552. After a long fight, our colonial defense has failed, and the Covenant have made their way to Earth. Today's mission takes place 20 clicks north of the Covenant's primary point of incursion, in an abandoned township on the coast of East Africa. The handful of Marines who survived the Covenant assault called this place Hell on Earth. We call it Zanzibar. Now, the story might have been different if we had more of these on the ground. Spartan cybernetic soldiers equipped with Mjolnir Mark 6 battle armor. Each suit is highly customizable, from color schemes to emblems. Spartans are free to prep their armor as they see fit. But like I said, when the Covenant hit, they hit hard. Low-level infantry backed up by plenty of these, elites, the iron heart of the Covenant military. So, since we're actually going to be playing Zanzibar at the show, I thought I'd give you a brief tutorial about the latest battlefield tactics and technology. This is an actual network game. I'm a Spartan, and Max, our multiplayer lead, is an elite. Hey, say hi, Max. You know, some things just go across cultures. Max is carrying our most brutal close-range weapon, the Covenant Energy Sword. If you see an opponent with one of these, you'd better take him down quick. And one of the best ways to do that is dual wielding. Just walk over a weapon you want to dual wield and press Y. The right trigger fires my needler, my SMG, and the left fires my needler, which actually in Halo 2 is worth picking up. Bam! I'll just save this for later. We've reworked all our vehicles in Halo 2. Like this Ghost, for example. It's all pimped out with the ground effects. But hey, the coolest feature is under the hood. And that's called boosting. Just hold down the left trigger. It quickly doubles your speed, and it's a great way to get out of a bad situation or just mow down an enemy. But be careful. If you let an enemy get too close, take it! To board a vehicle, just approach a stopped or slowly moving one. From the back or front, press X. This is so fun, we do this all day. Here, Max, I'll make it easy for you. Ow. All the vehicles in Halo 2 are destructible. So watch as I go to work with the battle rifle, which, so you know, unzoomed fires 3-shot bursts, and zoomed it fires single shots. Now you gotta watch out for the secondary explosion. Max is a professional. Oh, sorry about that, Max. The Warthog has gotten an upgrade too, and it's also destructible. Hubcap. Yeah. Our infantry rocket launcher has a deadly new feature. It's called target tracking. Just zoom in, paint the target with your reticle. Whoa! And let one fly. I think I killed Max, so we're gonna try that again. Come on, Warthog. Here, Max, how about this one? But be careful. People usually get pretty pissed when you bust up their ride. Luckily, I've got the ultimate anti-son-of-a-bitch stick right here. So melee attack by pressing B, or line up your target for a powerful lunge attack.
Killing spree.
Wow, a really powerful lunge attack. The game we'll be playing at the show is single flag CTF. Spartans, this is a hard insertion, tactical drop. Go up and over the seawall or jump in a vehicle and head through the gap. Elites, you have the strong point. It's primitive, human, but defend it at all costs. This power substation has lots of entrances, and some of them are more defensible than others. Elites, if you let the Spartans into your base and they open the main gate, there'll be nothing from stopping them from driving their vehicles directly into your base. If the Spartans manage to capture your flag, stop them any way you can. But keep your eyes peeled. Like our vehicles, Zanzibar has weak points. A good midfield defense is key. Elites, snipe the Spartans on their way in, but watch out for counter-sniping. Every great battlefield has history, secrets, and Zanzibar is no exception.
Guys, we got a release date on Halo 2, and we weren't backing out. They said they'd believe that the day I tattooed that on my arm. Skeptical bunch. Well, fellas, I got your release date right here. November the 9th. The moment Xbox Nation's been waiting for, Halo 2. And yes, that is 2004.
After the E3 showcase, Bungie and Microsoft had set up a handful of Xboxes for the press to play on and try out Halo 2 by themselves, being able to play One Flag CTF on Zanzibar. Around this time, they also gave a house in the Beverly Hills a complete makeover with the attempt to recreate the world of Halo, which included people dressed up as UNSC Marines in Cortanas. Some of the celebrities at this house include Reitman from Clueless, Jolene Blalock from Enterprise, Andrew Keegan from American Pie, Jordana Brewster from The Fast and the Furious, Bai Ling from Star Wars Episode 3, Ben Foster from 6 Feet Under, Kelly Hu from X-Men 3, Kyle Baller from Baltimore Ravens, Laura Prepon from That 70s Show, who also played some of the Marines, Brad Buffonda, A Cinderella Story, Lindsay Lohan from Mean Girls, Breckin Meyer from Road Trip, Luke Walton from the LA Lakers, Michelle Rodriguez from The Fast and the Furious, who also played some of the Marines, Chris Masterson from Malcolm in the Middle, Danny Masterson from That 70s Show, Rick Yoon from The Fast and the Furious, Good Charlotte the Band, Ryan Phillip, Gregory Smith, Shannon Elizabeth, Taryn Manning from 8 Mile, and Tara Reid from American Pie. Bungie had no real time to breathe following E3. Their next big date on their development schedule was to be code complete by June. What this meant was that any code that was needed in order for the game to run had to be completed by then. The only code that they were allowed to add following this was bug fixes and patches.
We're here today. We're on the 8th of June today. We're roughly halfway towards finishing the project since this went up. So 4 weeks from now, we'll have coded everything in the game. Another 4 weeks from now, we'll have put all of the pieces of content in the game. 2 weeks after that, we'll have literally everything, all of the audio, all the cinematics, everything. Then there's 6 weeks after that where all we do is play it and we fix any bug where we absolutely could not ship it. and then we release it.
I'm still scared shitless right now, to be honest with you.
Problem is, the bug I have is
the difference between good enough and awesome is so big, and I mean, there's standards set by everyone here that, I mean, good enough sucks. You can't do good enough.
you fire the bullet, and the bullet comes about maybe 4 or 5 pixels below where the crosshair says it's going to.
It's a hard kind of thing to live up to, but it's I mean, the game's going to be better for it.
We're actually pretty good at slamming stuff in right at the end. As a matter of fact, I think we do some of our best work that way.
We're seeing big chunks of the game being fun and playable, and so I think that's a huge corner that we've turned.
By the first week of June, there was already geometry for everything in the game. The next week, the ESRB finally gave Halo 2 its M rating, and some of the first printed ads for the game started rolling out in magazines. Bungie once again decided to run another private multiplayer beta test with Microsoft employees. Around 8,000 employees, 14% of the company at the time, got to test and play Halo 2 months before its launch. Similar to the alpha test, employees would get a disc in the mail that would play on their regular Xbox. This version is much closer to the final build and was meant to test the Xbox Live and gameplay features. With a more familiar HUD, dual wielding, and now more weapons and vehicles being present in the build. During this test, Bungie tried testing updates for the game, adding a new map halfway through the test. There were also a few features in this build that would be missing in the final release, such as non-functional saved films option, Warfare and Headhunter game modes, inaccessible data for the Mongoose, a very early and primitive version of the Falcon, which would later show up in Halo Reach, a flamethrower, and a weird weapon called the Disintegrator. The battle rifle was also still single shot during this time when zoomed in, but this would be removed shortly before the final build for a purely 3-shot burst. By July, localization with dialogue began at the beginning of the month, and Bungie began doing hands-on testing with players outside of Microsoft. Bungie was set to print 8,000 discs for the beta. However, Bungie did not test their discs prior to sending them out. When they arrived, they found out that some of the files in their disk were not loading properly, causing them to recall and reprint another 8,000 discs. By the end of July, the game finally reached a content complete status, meaning that all geometry, weapons, vehicles, sounds, and etc. were all now present in the game. July ended with a build of the game being taken over to Europe and London so the game could get its content rating. Along with some press and media outlets visiting the studio to try the multiplayer themselves, around this time, Bungie also decided to whip up a little theatrical trailer using assets from the E3 2003 build, with new scenes and snippets from the campaign area Zanzibar. This trailer was sent to theaters and played before several movies throughout the summer. Some of these movies include Spider-Man 2, The Village, King Arthur, I, Robot, Catwoman, and Alien vs. Predator.
Rated M for mature.
If you notice at the end of the trailer, a link to a website called ilovebees.com flashes up on the screen for just a brief moment. This link would take you to a website about a beekeeper, but over time the site would become more corrupted as it revolved around a Halo AI that was stuck in the present day. On August 10th, the website updated with a list of GPS coordinates, times, and a countdown on the website. These coordinates led to payphones across the United States. People who picked up these payphones at these specific times would speak to a recording of the AI from the website and were asked basic questions about the character. If answered correctly, an audio clip would be released and a number would be added to a counter on the website. The audio clips, when threaded together, formed an audio drama about characters in the Halo universe. As the number reached 777, the AI, now played by a voice actor instead of a recording, began interacting with players through the payphones. After the game was over, players were invited to go on a quote-unquote training mission, which was actually a chance to play Halo 2 multiplayer before its release. Various sites around America were used to host the event, including movie theaters and malls. Players were told to say the phrase, "The operator left a message for me," to gain access to the event. Unfortunately, several of the hosts were unaware of I Love Bees and thought it was just a Halo 2 event, disappointing many fans. At each event, players were given DVDs containing all of the I Love Bees audio files, as well as deleted material and screenshots from the site. A player tried to answer a live call in the middle of Hurricane Ivan. However, one of the staff members in charge of the calls for this event actually had to break character and tell him to run to safety, saying, "Dude, it's a hurricane, put the phone down." Microsoft decided to chime in to Bungie and tell them that they had to change the name of their character, the Dervish, as they deemed it no longer acceptable. The reasoning was, being 3 years after 9/11 and in the middle of pure hysteria in the country, Microsoft was still very nervous about the main character of the enemy faction being named with an Islamic name which was named after a person in the Quran. They also wanted Bungie to completely cut the ending of it as well, due to the original ending being that the Master Chief and the Dervish would team up to stop the Prophet from activating the Halos from the Ark on Earth. Bungie was not happy about this forced change, and quickly rushed to the name Arbiter, forcing Bungie to re-record lines and change subtitles. Development began to get even more brutal in August as the release date got closer, with some Bungie employees even sleeping at the office until the game was finished. 100-hour work weeks became very common during this time. Recording sessions with voice actors also finally finished up around this time, allowing composer Marty O'Donnell and Michael Salvatore to begin writing music for the game, eventually being implemented into the game before the month ended. The beta test mentioned earlier also finally ended near the end of this month. August also ended with arguably one of the first Halo 2 tournaments, with Frank O'Connor and Brian Gerard bringing some Xboxes with that year's E3 build on it to an MLG tournament in Seattle, letting some of its top players try it out. Now moving into September, this would be the last month of production before manufacturing for the game would start going into effect in October. The first week of September saw the manual get completed, the music was almost done, while sounds were still being added daily throughout September. Editing also finally finished up for the Halo 2 documentary DVD that came with the limited edition Halo 2 set, which has been used as background footage throughout the whole video. By mid-September, every level, cinematic, and encounter was in the game, and all the music had been composed. As the month began to end, many in the studio had essentially finished their main work on the game and were now helping test it. At the very end of the month, Bungie finished their work on the game and sent it off for certification. The final hours of development saw some major additions added to Halo 2, including a now series staple, Skulls, which when collected would modify certain aspects of the campaign in different ways. Joseph Staten was also still adding facial animations to cutscenes, which can be seen absent in the making of documentary DVD. The very last addition added to Halo 2 would be what the developers called the Flood Sea Monkeys, which were small flood spores in a tank at the beginning of the level, the Oracle. As the developers were applying their new additions, a glitch ensued, causing the sea monkeys to float outside of the tank. Panic ensued, causing the devs to beg to have access to the source code to quickly patch this issue out. With the game sent off to manufacturing, most of Bungie took some well-deserved time off. Many had been working horrible hours for months on end. 2's programmer Matt Noguchi had spent the last 3 months working 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Designer Paul Bertone hadn't slept in his own bed for the last month. His fellow designer, James Greisemer, estimated that he worked 14-hour days, 7 days a week for over a year. Bodies were broken and relationships were fractured. It was awful for just about everyone who worked at the studio. Co-founder and project lead Jason Jones felt responsible for the difficult schedule and had suffered along with everyone else. He would go on to take a lengthy sabbatical after the game shipped, playing a much smaller role in Halo 3.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get amped! Ooh, amped! Alright, so here's the proof. This is the Halo 2 countdown timer. 33 days to go. And so we're doing a special video update to celebrate. We're gonna do a tour of Bungie Studios. This is the hallway that leads to Bungie Studios. It's secret. As you can see, it's Halloween. It's actually more like a ghost town than a Halloween town because there's really no one here today. Everyone's taken off on vacation because Halo 2 is done. Yeah. We got our Street Fighter machine there. We got all our trophies. We don't have any room for more trophies, so we just started stacking them on top and put them under people's desks and stuff. This is Bungie. This is where it all happens. As you can see, it's a thriving hive of activity. The place is packed out with hardworking programmers and artists. Actually, everyone's done, so it's totally dead. There's a few people around. Curtis Creamer just waiting for his phone to ring with bad news from CERT, but it won't happen. We're pretty confident now, right? We're done. It's official, we're done. No bad news from CERT, so everything's good. Jamie Graysomer, probably just designing some cool new shit for our awesome new maze-based eat 'em up. All the rest of the team, that's where Jason Jones sits, but he's not there. Oh, look, people came back. Yeah, there's trouble. Some are tests, some aren't. What's going on? What are you working on there?
I'm playing Fable.
Playing another game?
Yes.
Matt's playing Fable. Everyone else is gone. This is a kind of multiplayer area, sort of. This is where Max Hoberman sits. You can see some secret maps there that no one's meant to see. That's not a secret map. Where Chris Carney sits, designing Carney holes. Put in secret weapon caches for himself. This is the test room. These are the only people who are still working because they're just making sure that all the language versions work, and they're not testing any multiplayer right now, which is a shame. Otherwise, we'd be playing against them. See, these guys are playing Xbox Live retail build of Halo 2, that is, and they're first in the country. Lucky bastards. There you go. And we don't even pay these guys. They just said that for no reason at all. Hope he's not in now. This is Marty's room. He usually has a do not disturb sign, but because Halo 2 is so finished, like he took it off. Actually, his do not disturb sign was a death threat. It really was.
Okay, here we are right outside the Ivory Towers sound studio for Marty O'Donnell. We're gonna go inside here. Be quiet. Marty is at work right now creating the magic. Let's take a look inside. Hey, you're not Marty.
Hello everyone, I'm Marty O'Donnell, and I make music, beautiful music that you love to listen to. I make it with strange instruments like this South American skin flute. So I'm glad you could join us today, because I'm actually making the music for Halo 4. I work very far in advance. So this is how it goes.
This is Jason Jones' office. Super busy right now, catching some rays, so we're not going to disturb him. See you, Jason. Sorry.
Now, it's over. It's now launch day. Many at Bungie expect the worst from critics and fans alike. So how did the public receive Halo 2?
One of the most eagerly awaited video games finally goes on sale.
Preparing to rewrite retail history.
Video game is expected to have bigger first-day revenues than any movie has ever had an opening day at the box office.
Biggest retail launch in entertainment history.
Dozens of grown men and probably about 3 women have crawled out of their parents' basements tonight to be first in line to buy the new video game Halo 2.
Video gamers across the country are anxiously awaiting the midnight release of a game called Halo 2.
45 minutes and counting for Halo 2 to go on sale.
The line right now is probably about 100 yards long.
It is the most anticipated game in entertainment history.
Well, if you're an Xbox gamer, there's a good chance you're pretty tired right now.
Halo 2 sold 2.4 million units in 24 hours.
Now, I understand there's a few more states to put in the red and blue columns. We're going to go back to the map and Rob Cordry. Rob, looking at the... Rob.
Yeah, suck it! Suck it! Where's your alien plasma rifle now, bitch?
Rob!
Wow! Oh!
Are you playing Halo?
No?
The anticipation around that, coming, that Halo 2 was going to land, I think it was just a kind of magical moment.
Many at Bungie were shocked and surprised to see how overwhelmingly positive fan reception was to the game. Bungie programmer Chris Butcher said at the time that he found it difficult to even play the game, as all he could see while playing it were all of its flaws. Following the release of Halo 2, Bungie wanted to make sure they never go through something like that ever again. So when it came time to make some DLC maps for Halo 2, the goal for developing them was just to have some fun. Nowadays, you constantly hear about horrific crunch cycles for video games constantly, like with Blizzard and Activision, but even back in the day, these things were still going on. With the development of Halo 2 easily being one of the worst cases of crunch possibly ever,
We've got a new contact, unknown classification.
It isn't one of ours. Take it out.
This is Spartan 117.
Anyone hear me? Over.
Isolate that signal. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and if you enjoyed, please like the video. Keep an eye out for more videos like these in the future. See ya!